Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about my new Flunbrato Watercolor Swatch Book. We're going to do a review and how to swatch your watercolors properly. My name is Kelly. Today I'm going to be sharing something a little different that I've actually been really excited about using in my studio. Went live in my Patreon this week and I made some mistakes and I want to share some things with you. So Flunbrato sent me this watercolor swatch book to try out, and I've been putting it through its paces with my paints. It's basically a dedicated book with 12 sheets of 100% cotton watercolor paper, and it's designed just for swatching your colors. And I didn't realize how much I needed something like this until I started using it. I am always misplacing loose swatches, or I'm trying to remember what color that I used in a painting months later. Especially with my tutorials, people ask me and I'm like, oh gosh, what color was it? So having everything in one place has really been a game changer for me. So today I wanted to walk you through how I'm using it and more importantly, how properly to swatch your paint so you actually get the useful information from them, not just pretty colored squares. So let's get into it. So what is this book used for? Well, it's first of all, not just used for pretty little color blocks because it does look pretty, but the swatch is really a good reference tool for you. It's going to help you understand how your paints move on real watercolor cotton paper. It's going to show you how strong or light a color is, whether it's transparent or more opaque, and how it looks when it's dry, not just when it's wet. So that last one is huge because watercolor can change a lot as it dries. Let's just take a look at the binder. First of all, it has these little ring binders. There's 3 little rings on each clip, and there's 2 clips in there, and you can just pull them apart and separate them. So it's pretty easy to take it apart, and you can take your papers out of the notebook if you're doing multiple sheets, and that way they can dry. You don't have to worry about them getting wet or getting onto any of the other pages. So let's talk about the big confusion and what all of these symbols mean on here. I think many professional paints, including my Rosa Gallery and others, you'll see these little symbols in here, little squares that tell you about the paint behavior. And you can see if you open up a paint pan, it's really hard to determine maybe what colors are what. There is no information that you're looking at as you're staring at your paint pans. They do, however, have some breakdowns. If you pull a little color out, you can see the color number on there. Usually they'll have the pigment codes, they'll have also the light fastness, and they'll have the little symbol that talks about whether it's transparent or not. And usually most color sheets when you get your kit have like either on the bottom of the box or inside a little color sheet where you can swatch things out and you can write all the information in. And usually the back of the box, which is what I cut out here from the Rosa kit, had that, but you can't really leave them in there. It's not really safe in there. If your paints are wet and you close it up, you're going to always get paints on them, and you lose the cards because they're not handy dandy like they are in the swatch book. So let's just talk about a simple breakdown of some of the things that are going to be on this swatch book. So we have the open squares, the panels that we're actually going to test out these color sheets on. Now I'm just going to pull one out here so you can see the color number on this one barely. And if I flip it over on the other side of this, I have also the pigment codes and whether it's light fast, but you can see how messy that is, and you're not going to want to do that every single time. So when we open up the book, we do see up at the top, we have the space for the color. We also have a space for where you write the color in, and then down below it, we also have another line where you can put the pigment codes in. Up at the top, you'll also see the little stars, which you can put the light fastness of each color in, as well as the little box that shows it's either transparent, semi-transparent, semi-opaque, or opaque. So let's quickly just talk about what those numbers mean. So the Rosa paints here, you'll see these little squares that are on here, the little stars and the little P073 and all these numbers. The first part is, or that little square is where it determines whether or not the paint is good or bad as far as how much light passes through the paint. So transparent colors will let the white of the paper shine through, which is what gives watercolor that glow that we love. and the opaque colors kind of sit more on top of the paper and cover what's underneath a little bit more strongly. So both are useful, they're just used differently. And so where you see this little square on your packages, an empty square usually means transparent, half or split is semi-transparent, and then you have the solid square, which is more opaque. So you will see it in different areas on different pans of paint or tubes of paint. For example, on the Woomer paints, they're actually circles. You can see clear circle is transparent, they have semi-opaque, semi-transparent, and then opaque is the filled-in circle instead of a square. So you really have to look at your paints to see the different brands are rating them. So when you go to swatch them out, you have the right codes in there. The next thing is the light fastness, which is the little stars that we see on there. And it really sounds more complicated than what it is, but light fast just means how well the pigment holds up over time when it's exposed to light. So usually you'll see star ratings 1 through 5, just depending on the brand. And of course, the more stars, the better it is as far as holding up to light. So if when you're teaching or you're selling work, you always want to stick with a higher light fastness whenever possible, especially for your originals. But of course, for sketchbooks or practice, use whatever inspires you. For example, on the Woomer ones, they actually have numbers rating. Number 1 to 2, not light fast. 8 is extremely light fast, and you can see them here. So I also want to talk about the mistake that I made when I first did this one. I just went with a solid color. I did not go from light to dark. So this is why we talk about tea to butter and why it's important when you're swatching. It's about paint consistency. So you'll often hear people say tea consistency, coffee, milk, butter. I've heard it used for a long time, but it just makes water ratios a little bit easier to understand visually. So if you're looking at tea consistency, that's going to equal very watery, light color, kind of like a first staining layer. Coffee is a bit stronger, it's still transparent. Then you have milk, which is more balanced mix. It's kind of a mid-tone, like equal water to pigment ratio. And then you could have cream, which is a little bit heavier, more on the tone. And then butter, which is really, really thick paint, and it's the strongest pigment load that you can get. So it's important when you're swatching because you always want to start your swatch with the darkest, that butter strength in that first little spot there. So that's the darkest pigment that you can get. And then you're going to add water as you bring it across on that next larger area. So you go dark to light. And that way you'll have the full potential range of every pigment. And then you can pull the water out and just see how fast it fades, and it really gives you an idea of all the variations that one particular color has. The best practice that I learned when you're filling out these swatches, you want to start with a fully loaded brush, that butter consistency, place a strong swatch on the top left-hand side, that little small area, and then go into the next square over, and while it's wet, you want to gradually add some water and pull across to create that gradient. And you want it to fade naturally. You don't want to overwork it. You just want to let the watercolor kind of do its thing. All right, so let's just do a quick recap with your swatch. Make sure you fill it out first. You want to go ahead and put all the information, the color name, the pigment number, the transparency, the brand that it is, and your light fastness. And you can also include, which we didn't talk about, are your pigment codes. And then they have a number after it, and that's just your pigments that they use. So you'll find some of the same pigment numbers are in like 2 different yellows, or maybe a yellow and a brown, because you have some of the same pigments in there. And that just that's another little rabbit hole to go down, is pigment codes. Once you get it labeled, you're going to start with that strongest pigment on the left-hand side, that butter consistency, and you're going to gradually move that water across, giving yourself a nice gradual blend. And then once you're done, you will have all of these ready for you whenever you pull out your paint. So what I'm really loving about the Flunbrato Swatch Book is that it just keeps everything together for me. So instead of those loose sheets everywhere, those random cards tucked in drawers, you know it, I've done it. Now that I have this done, I have everything in one dedicated place where I can build my palette over time as I get new paints. I can go ahead and put those in there. Best thing to do is if you get a brand new paint set, swatch it right away. It should be one of the first things that you do before you mess everything up. You know what your colors are. You have all the codes. You have everything at your fingertips. And then you'll actually be able to find things when you need them. If you're looking for a specific color, you can check out your sketchbook to find that particular shade. For someone like me who's always in mid-project with paint everywhere, that alone for me is worth it. So I'm just curious, how do you organize your color swatches? Are you team loose cards? Do you maybe have a sketchbook somewhere? Or maybe you even have this Flunbrato sketchbook, or you've created your own, because you can do that too. You could always take some watercolor paper, punch holes in it, label it, code it, put your little squares in, which is a lot of work. And for the price of this one, it was pretty good and pretty easy to do. And it's already on watercolor paper. So yeah, check it out. I'll put the link down below for you if you want to have more details on this. Again, Flunbrato sent this to me for review, and I'm always honest, and it worked for me. I love it in my studio. So let me know what you guys think. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Make sure you like and subscribe, and a quick shout out to my patrons, and I hope you enjoyed the full messy swatch that we did the other night. For an hour I was on there doing the swatch. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.